Today in this video, I'm going to be showing how I did my 460 swap on this four-wheel drive 77 lowboy, and it's also got a zf5 behind it, so I'm going to get into that. All right, so when I first decided I was going to swap a 460 into this truck and put a zf5 speed behind it, I went on the internet and was searching around for a lot of information and had trouble finding a lot of clear information on a lot of this. So I was hoping to make a video, maybe help somebody else out and kind of show how I did it. So I got my motor mounts from L&L, and I don't know, they work pretty good. It originally had an inline 300 in this truck, and so the only thing I had to do was move where the old motor mounts were. I had to move these a hole back. So I think on, is it this side or the other side? I think on the other side where the shock mount is, you have to take it out and put the bolts in on there, because it goes back a section of holes. You can see it in your frame. There's like 2 or 3 different locations where you can mount motor mounts, and the 460 is the furthest back for these motor mounts. And I'm running some L&L frame exit headers. They seem pretty good. This side clears completely. The other side's kind of iffy when you're turned completely, but they clear pretty good for the most part. And as far as brake lines and everything, I kind of tried to keep them up off the headers, and I wrapped them in some heat wrap stuff and wrapped the headers in the areas where everything was kind of close to it and around it. And as far as that goes, it's pretty straightforward. I forget where I got this radiator, but it's an aftermarket radiator from, I think, Alloy Radiators, and seems to be doing pretty good. Moving up under the truck, running a ZF5 speed out of, I'm pretty sure it's a 94 or 95. And using the cross member out of the 5-speed truck that it come with, I need to cut this cross member off, re-weld some ends on it. That way it'll set inside the frame rail. This is just how it is for right now, but that all mounted up pretty easy. The biggest difficulty was clearancing the transmission in this truck up in the cab. I'll show you in just a second what I'm talking about, but it was kind of a pain. But once it's up in there, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Transfer case, you got to notch out your frame a little bit to run the ZF5 transfer case. But other than that, transfer case was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And I had a one-piece drive shaft in this truck originally with the 4-speed, and I had to get it shortened quite a bit. I think like 6 inches. Moving up in the cab here, this is where things started getting a little more complicated, and I wished I could have found a better video on some things for myself. But as you can see, I had to cut out up into here a little ways and around the transmission. I don't know if it's just these motor mounts or the way this engine sets in here, but this transmission sits pretty high up. So I'm gonna have to build some kind of custom trans tunnel here, which is no big deal, but for right now it's just been running like this. And then here's my assembly to run my hydraulic clutch system. So took a piece of, this is a piece of steel that come off of a semi fender well or trailer bracket. Had it welded on there, and then just spaced this out with washers so it's centered up in the cylinder up there, and it works out pretty good. This is just a piece of steel and some metal I braced off the dash to keep the firewall from flexing. Just a couple L-shaped brackets. Then out here under the hood, I'm not really sure how this got all cockeyed when I was putting it all together, but it works and it doesn't matter to me. So, but there it is. I got this from O'Reilly's. This you can also pick up at O'Reilly's. It was in stock. This is, I think, like a Ford Ranger clutch line. Run it down, and the easiest way I found to bleed it is I took a vacuum gun, stuck one of the nipples down in here, sealed it off, pumped it up to I don't know, as high as it would let me pretty much, and then just sit there and watch the bubbles come out. 10 minutes later and you've got a bled clutch. So that was pretty straightforward. But I'd say the hardest part of this whole situation here was up under the dash here. Ended up having to drop the column, pull this assembly out to pull this out and get this welded in here good enough. I suck at welding. I tried to weld it myself and started bleeding that, and it was kind of at a bad angle. Kind of moved this up later on after it broke and got this rod at a better angle, because if it's not straight, it'll bend. That's what happened on the last one. I ended up having to get another one of these. But this system seems to work pretty good. Had my neighbor come back and weld this up, and so far so good. This assembly's not too bad to pull out though. Drop the column. Can't remember. There's a nut on the end of the shaft over here. Pull the bolt out of the brake pedal here. Pull this out, and this all just kind of slides out this way. So it's not too terribly bad to get apart. And I still need the shifter for my transfer case. I'll have to cut a hole in the floor back right in here somewhere. Hook that up so I can shift back and forth. And I still need to get a drive shaft built for the front, but the way it looks right now, should be plenty of room. Nothing, I mean, cross members shouldn't hit it or anything. From the transfer case to the front end, it should all go pretty smooth from there. So, and then I just run straight pipes straight back. Haven't decided if I'm gonna leave it straight pipes for now or find some kind of muffler I really like to put on it, but there it is. It's a little rough right now. Got a different bed for it setting up at the shop, and picked up a different grill and bought a bumper for it here a while back, so hopefully I'll get it slicked up pretty soon. But pretty solid old truck for now. It's been bored 30 over. Got a little cam in it. Got a Holley 750 CFM vacuum secondary carburetor on it, so it seems to do pretty good. It's only been moving for a couple days now. So another thing I want to point out is that oil pan on the driver's side is not touching, but it's pretty close to that cross member in the frame there. So if you wanted to, you could, you know, cut that out in places and clearance that if you needed to, but I didn't. It's not touching, so I'm not going to worry about it, but it is pretty close. The next thing that I've noticed is when driving it, this sometimes can hit the headers there, and some of that's got to do with this being pretty wore out, and this keeps sliding out, and that keeps the steering shaft picked up. But other than that, it's been moving pretty smooth. Haven't had any trouble yet, so I'm just gonna keep rolling with it for now, fixing what I find's wrong with it here and there. But it's come a long way from where it was. I hope this video was helpful to whoever needed it, and maybe somebody won't struggle as much as I did trying to figure it all out. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments.